You know, there's one thing I don't think I've ever done here on my channel, and that is take you on a late autumn, kind of wintry tour in my gardens. And so I thought, you know what, I think I will do that because there are so many interesting things in the garden this time of year. And I don't know if you can hear it. I have my Rode external microphone on, but I don't know if you can hear the river. That is such a beautiful sound because we had 2 inches of rain yesterday all day long, a good soaking rain. We've been in a drought here in Virginia in my zone 6B, and if you've just joined us, my name is Bobby. And so the sound of the river, we have not heard that in months, and we can hear it because it runs through the farm here. Just a beautiful sound. We're so thankful for the rain. So let's get on with the tour. There's some beautiful things that I want to show you in the garden. The first thing we'll do is go up to my production garden, and I want to show you the Winterberry. I noticed the other day that the deer had eaten it a little bit, and so I had to spray it with liquid fence because that is not allowed. All right, you can see this one is not looking the best. I paid like $10 for this one, and it's not looking the best, but it'll be fine. And then this one is the one that I noticed that the deer were eating. You can see it had a long branch that came off here, and they chewed on that, and they don't necessarily want it for food. They just chomp it off, spit it out, leave it on the ground. But that is a Winterberry. If you've ever grown Winterberries, you know that they are extremely slow growers. So I would recommend that if you do want to start having Winterberries, that you get a larger shrub to begin with, and it'll give you a little bit of boost because it just takes so long for them to grow. Now, you do need the pollinating partner if you want to have berries on your Winterberries, which of course that's why we grow them. I have a Mr. Poppins by Proven Winners, and he happens to bloom the same time that all my other Winterberries do, in the spring. So that's how you get your berries. The pollinating partner will send out its blooms, and as well as the Winterberries, the females. And then the pollinators, the bees, the butterflies or whatever, will go back and forth and pollinate the Winterberries, and then you get your berries. So that's, you want to make sure you have a pollinating partner that blooms the same time that your females do, because some of them do bloom at different times. But it just needs to be like in the same window of bloom, if that makes sense. And one pollinating partner can pollinate up to 5 females. So Mr. Poppins works hard on his job of pollinating the other Winterberries that I have. And he doesn't produce any berries, he just produces the blooms in the spring. This is where I had all of my pumpkins, and I decided to leave the greenhouse fabric over the winter to let the grass keep dying off completely. I think what I'd like to do is put a cattle panel archway in this area here. And so just leaving the greenhouse fabric. And we did plant a Norway spruce here. Look how cute that is. So that's a Norway spruce. I think the Norway spruce is a fairly fast grower. I actually need to look that up. I forage for most of my greenery when I want to decorate with the greenery at Christmas time and winter time, but we didn't have any thing like the Norway spruce. We have white pine, and we have the cedar. I think it's called the eastern cedar, something like that. But I didn't have anything like a Norway spruce, and we usually go on a little either a day trip or an overnight trip to Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, 1st of December, and I buy a lot of my greenery because it's so affordable. Since we're going on a little vacation day anyway, it's so much more affordable than it is to buy it locally. And I bought a lot of Norway spruce branches last year, and I was like shocked at how long the Norway spruce branches lasted. They lasted like through the winter, and I took them back outside and brought them back outside out of my house, and had them on the porch. And so I told my hubby, I said, oh man, I've got to have some Norway spruce so that I can in the future have my own Norway spruce to cut to bring inside. So I'm going to try to talk him into planting a couple more Norway spruce trees. This is a red twig dogwood. Now, I have never done the pruning that you're really supposed to do on my red twig dogwood. I do use a lot of the branches, and this is the only one. I would love to have a yellow twig, which I can add easily up here, but love the red twig dogwood. And then these are just little English hollies here. They're very prickly. They're not what I should have bought for here, but they've got the berries on them. But they are kind of slow growers as well, a little bit slow growers. This is the pollinating partner for these hollies, and the deer come and eat this one. And so I have to spray it with liquid fence because even though the leaves are prickly, the deer eat it. Ugh. So, but it has a real pretty bloom on it in the spring, but it is the pollinating partner for these hollies in order to get the berries. And then I've got some blueberry bushes here, and so thankful again for this rain, because boy did we ever need some blackberry bushes. These are dwarf blackberry bushes here. And this boxwood, I just cut on it. I made some arrangements for the senior center, but look at the autumn color on this boxwood. I was glad to have it because I needed some foliage for those arrangements. We're a little bit closer to the river. Can you hear it? Oh gosh, what a great sound. Behind me is a Bracken's Brown Beauty magnolia, and it's been here for like, I guess through 3 years, going on 4 years now, and it's, you know, it's hanging on, but I really think it should be a lot bigger than it is. I do fertilize up here, and one of the viewers mentioned that if I were to put mulch or compost around everything up here, they would do better. And you can't tell it, but I compost in the spring. I put a compost around everything. I don't use wood mulch up here, but anyway, the ground is just so extremely poor up here on the top of the hill. Everything is hanging on, and it's growing some, but it's not thriving like it should. So in order for me to really amend this soil would have taken so much. Just didn't want to do all that to the soil and the environment and everything like that. So I am just letting these do and grow how they will, and they will grow, and they'll keep growing. So you can see here all of my evergreens. This is a blue cypress here, and these are Leyland cypress, which the deer just so lovingly rubbed their antlers in the top and broke out the tops of all of these. Once you break out a leader, once a leader is broken out of a tree or bush or a shrub, it's very hard to train a new leader. You can do it, like that branch right there could become a new leader if I worked hard to train it, but I'm not really going to worry about that. They're growing some, not at the growth rate they're supposed to. This is another one here, Leyland cypress here, that the deer, you can see there at the top, the deer have just rubbed it with their antlers and broken it off. I didn't mean to spend so much time up there on top of the hill, but I did want to talk to you a little bit about those winterberries. So let's move on, because I don't want this video to be too long. These are all Iteas here, Sweet Spire. They get a real pretty autumn color, and I have, let's see, 4 of those. So they're looking pretty. They'll be losing their leaves here really soon. Here's a new one I planted that's lost more of its leaves, but I do use some of the foliage in arrangements in the autumn time. Starting back here, that's a japonica. Look how pretty that gets in the autumn time. And then that's my free little quick fire right there that just decided to seed itself right there. There's some more boxwoods there that have been in those cement containers for a long time. and that's the lavender. I was thinking I was going to cut some of this lavender foliage and put it in water picks and put it on my dried flower Christmas tree. And that's berries and cream mint. And that, of course, is a little quick fire. There's rosemary here. That's a macrophylla hydrangea there. Really suffered this year because of the drought, but it's losing its leaves. And this is sage, which I just used a lot of it for some bouquets, some autumn bouquets. But it'll come back for me. It'll live through the winter here in my Zone 6B. And these are little lime hydrangeas, which are as big as limelights. But they're supposed to be little limes. But I'm hoping if we get snow this year that I can come out and give you like a snowy tour. That's always fun. And there's another little lime. And then this bed, we cleaned out all of our annuals that were in here in a video, and that's columbine there that you're seeing. That's all columbine. So you know the USDA changed the growing zone map, but my growing zone I don't believe changed. I'm in a Zone 6B, and I'm right in the Blue Ridge Mountains, and so I don't think I changed, which I would keep with a Zone 6B anyway. But I think the little town that I live in actually changed to a 7A. We're back here behind the greenhouse, and I'm going to give you 3 guesses what this is growing in the gravel, and the first 2 don't count. Remember the old joke? I gave you 3 guesses and the first 2 don't count. Let me get a close-up. If you know what that is, type it in the comments. I will leave it in the description, so don't cheat. But that self-seeded itself. Anyway, this is rye here, growing, winter rye, and it will grow over the winter, and then next spring around April, I will harvest it for dried rye. It's like winter wheat, but it's rye. All right, so here's some more of what we're guessing about. This is my one of my cool flower containers here. And another cool flower container of yarrow. In here I have tulips for cut flowers. I have more tulips for cut flowers in here. Some of you mentioned on the tulip, maybe it was the tulip in crates video that I did, that you didn't have very good success with planting tulips in containers because the bulbs rotted. If you live in a snowy area that gets a lot of snow and your containers are out and the snow sits and sits and sits and melts and melts and melts and melts, that's probably where your rotting has come in. And so I've never had a problem. I mean, I may have had a few bulbs rot in containers, but what I do is if I know that we're going to have, you know, some significant snowfall, then I just take a piece of plywood, just a small piece, and you could go to one of the big box stores and you could say, you know, do you have any scrap wood, scrap plywood that I could have or whatever? And sometimes they do. So you could just keep that on hand, and if you know you're going to get significant snowfall, just cover the containers that have your bulbs, and that way the snow won't sit on there for like weeks and weeks and melt, 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 and cause your bulbs to rot. Just give that a try. That may be a good solution for you if you're having a problem with your tulips rotting in containers. Look at this cute rack I found at an antique store. It was like maybe, I don't know, $35. It's all metal, and it's perfect to hold some of my clay pots. So I wanted to show you that real quick. And it sits right beside my greenhouse. It's perfect. So back here behind the garage, you saw where my grandson and I placed, if you watched the video, placed these Firelight Tidbit containers back here for winter storage. I will cut the blooms off of those just because I don't want any snow or anything to break those down. And so this is lettuce. It's become very bitter now, but it looks kind of pretty. I like the green. And then that was a row of carrots that never did do anything. So I don't know. I don't think they got quite enough sun back here. This is a container of some extra tulip bulbs that I had, and then these are the crates. They're doing good, and you can see I did mulch them with leaf mulch that I grind up. I don't think we'll take time to go through all of the cool flowers that I have planted in all of the beds, but I have bachelor's button, I have sweet William, I have some rudbeckia, some more yarrow, let's see, some campanula, some bupleurum. So I have quite a few cool flowers. I do not cover any of my cool flowers, and I know a lot of my flower farmer friends and my cut flower grower friends do, even some that live in warmer climates than they cover theirs. For the last 3 years of growing cool flowers, I've never covered mine. So anyway, they've always been fine, and we've had some negative Fahrenheit degrees. They've always been fine. The only thing that I have covers on standby would be my snapdragons and my stock, but I don't plant those out until very, very early spring. So anyway, those would be the only things that I have covers like on the standby, on the ready, in case I would need to cover that when I plant them out. So all of my cool flowers have done just fine so far. So that is a type of a holly. It's kind of gotten wild and out of control, but I kind of like the shape of it. And then this one is a false holly here. And this is a type of, I forget what type of grass that is, but it's some sort of a sedge, or you might call it a broom sedge or broom sage, but it's actually broom sedge. I learned that one day. It's like, oh, I've been calling it the wrong thing. And this is a dwarf blue spruce of some sort that must have gotten spider mites on it. You can see it's a little sick. So I'm gonna keep an eye on that. This is a dwarf nandina. Look at the berries. Oh gosh, I love, love, love berries. And then that is a volunteer vinca vine right there. That will die out once it gets really super cold, but I just let it stay. It volunteered itself there from a container several years ago. These are also a type of holly, and they don't berry, but they do flower in the spring. And of course, one of my favorite trees of all time, this is a native flowering dogwood here. Look at the berries. Oh, now the birds do like to eat these. Sometimes they will go after these berries, and sometimes they'll leave them alone. But you can see it's got a couple of little leaves left. They're wanting to come off. Just my favorite. I love them so much. This is a Kousa dogwood here. You can see the seed pods on it. It's kind of dark here because it's a little bit overcast, but aren't they cute? You can see the Kousa dogwood behind me has a few leaves left. With the Kousa dogwood, they get their leaves first and then their flowers. With the native dogwoods, they get their flowers first and then their leaves. So it's quite interesting to see the difference in the two. This is all Goldsturm rudbeckia here that I usually leave through the winter because, number one, for the birds, they like to eat the seeds, and number two, it looks so pretty if it does snow. They look like little lollipops, and they're so pretty. So then usually very, very, very late winter, I cut them back. And behind all of that, I have all of my hellebores, and that is a mountain hydrangea there. Very pretty blue bloom on it, but I have all my hellebores behind there. Of course, they'll be blooming probably starting, I want to say maybe the end of December. They might start throwing out some blooms. This is an autumn fire sedum here that I usually leave as well. And if you leave a lot of cover for birds and things to kind of harbor in and hide in, that's a nice thing to do. Plus you'll keep your worms going under there and all the little bugs that are wintering, the good bugs that are wintering under there. This is a little quick fire here. I still have my Cinderella pumpkins out. I am going to do the project. I hope I'm going to have time to do the project that Danielle did on North Lawn Flower Farm to make the pumpkin seed ornaments. But I'm going to let you guess again what this is growing here. What self-seeded itself in this barrel. This is where I had millet, and I cut the millet off to dry. You can see the stalks there, but the same thing that self-seeded itself in the back self-seeded itself in this barrel, because this barrel was in the back. So take your guesses. I think we'll end the tour here. I have no idea how long this video will be, so I don't want it to get too awfully long. But I enjoyed being with you here this morning and walking around the gardens, looking and seeing what's going on here in very, very late November, almost December. And I want to say how thankful I am for each and every one of you. I'm just really, really loving getting to know you through your comments and getting to chat with you that way. That is the absolute best part about having a YouTube gardening channel, is to get to know you gardeners and to hear about your gardens and things like that. And if you would please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Like this video if you liked it, and subscribe and join us if you haven't already. We would love that. So until next time, friends, I hope that you're doing well and that your gardens are somewhat at rest and you're somewhat at rest from your garden tasks. And until next time, happy gardening. Bye-bye.